What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast. I'm Brett Morse, your host, as usual. But I got your favorite co-host in here again with me this week, Adam Monowitz, a.k.a. The Neighbor. What's going on, dude?
Oh, not much. Drinking a few beers and enjoying actually a day that I don't have to run kids to baseball or basketball practice, so it's kind of nice.
Absolutely. I understand that with baseball fastly approaching for my little man. But we got a guy in here with us this week, former Hoosier, or I'll say fellow Hoosier, not former Hoosier, Jeremy Bell. He's our brother in the Nexus program. We haven't really announced that kind of thing on our socials or anything yet, but me, Adam, and Ryan are a part of the Nexus family now, which is Scent Blocker, Scent Lock. We're going to be doing some stuff for them throughout the year with deer and turkey and fishing and everything that goes with it. But Jeremy Bell, what's going on, dude?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing? Excited to be here.
Good.
I appreciate you coming on tonight. I know we were supposed to do this Monday night. It didn't really happen that way. Kids sick, all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad you could finally join us and do a show with us, man.
Hey, I'm all excited about it.
Well, for somebody that doesn't know Jeremy Bell, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the red clay dirt mounds of Grenada, Mississippi. If anyone has ever heard of Grenada, Mississippi, it's the number one crappie lake in the country.
I was going to say, I haven't heard of that place, but I know I've only been to Mississippi one time, and it was to fish, and it was unreal.
You know, Grenada Lake has the big slabs, as they say.
That's what my father-in-law kept telling me about it. Any crappie you catch and throw in a bucket, in a 5-gallon bucket, it'll touch side to side down there.
You got it. He got it. And so, I grew up in Grenada, and that's where, I bit my teeth with, hunting. My grandpa, he was basically known for catfishing the Yallowbush River, the downside of the Grenada Lake. But
catfishing's huge down there too, isn't it?
He loved those yellows and the blues.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
I like to eat them.
That's that southern hospitality down there, catfishing.
Yes, sir. I like to eat them. They're really good.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And so, my dad and my mom, they had split up and moved around. So I ended up going to 6 different high schools from Mississippi to Pennsylvania, and I ended up in Indiana.
Damn, you thought you were in the Air Force or Army or something. Dad in the Army?
It's the first question.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
I was the kid that if I did something I wasn't supposed to, the other one would have to deal with it for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So just how it was.
I'm getting sent here now.
Yeah. And so I grew up, hunting and fishing, and then my way of dealing with having to adapt so much was to hunt and fish.
To get outside. Absolutely. Peace of mind. I mean, it was just.
And that pretty much brought me to Indiana, and I moved here in 2003 and graduated, went to the military, came back, went to Ball State. Ended up in Henry County, hunting right along the Blue River on a piece of public property. And I was dedicated to that piece of public property for 10, 12 years, deer hunting. And then they finally opened up turkey hunting. And I loved it. Killed 4 birds there. And
That's incredible. I've always so the place that you're talking about is Wilbur Wright. I've heard a lot of people hunt that, and I've heard people always say if you want to kill a big one, you get close to the prison. But I've never drove by there during deer season until this year. I was like, you know what? My boy had a basketball event that we came by that area, and I went and drove around just to see the pressure at that place, and there was some pressure there for sure, but like. The vehicles that wasn't there, you could just see the parking lots and the dirt where everyone's been parking that had so many vehicles that's been there. You can tell it just gets hammered. But,
I love Wilbur. I mean, even
and I've heard them.
Even now, there's some really, really good spots, but I never hunted by the prison, and I still saw really decent deer. The pressure was all down by the prison, but
word travels. Just like you probably heard of Pike County, Indiana's big one that blew up a few years back. I can't even think of the county that blew up down in southern Indiana. Switzerland County. Yeah. That place blew up. Switzerland County blew up, and now it got so much pressure. So many people was leasing stuff. It kind of screwed that place up. That's probably just like the prison when everyone said if you want to kill something, you have to get deep to the prison.
And
everybody did it.
Fast. Yes, it does.
So pressure moved basically.
Oh,
so the deer.
You know, when we had Randy Kincaid on, he said somebody kills a big deer by the prison every year. It's just something that happens in that area, which brings me into my next question. What's it mean from you being from Mississippi? What's it mean for you to hunt Indiana in general?
That is a great question, because a lot of Midwestern people don't understand how us people that were raised in the South think. To us, hunting the Midwest, deer hunting, is almost like a dream hunt. Mm-hmm. To us, we don't have crops. We do have crops. We have cotton. We have peanuts, some places, sweet potatoes. So we do have crops, but...
That's a foreign language to us.
In Indiana, you have small chunks of hardwoods in crops.
Absolutely.
And in Mississippi, you have small fields in ginormous pine thickets or paper mills that have grown up, 50, 30 years, types of pine thickets. And then your hardwoods even, because the pine is so prevalent in Mississippi, it takes away the ability to shoot really long distances unless you put a food plot in. Mm. And so that was always a Midwestern thing to us. So now that I moved up here and you see the size difference in the bodies.
And the body's the difference.
Any deer, whether you hunt public land around here or not, there's a chance a giant will walk in front of you. Mm-hmm. And in Mississippi, you have a lot of the management doesn't happen there that does here. And so you have a lot of odd bucks and stuff like that. You do have the occasional giants that are killed, obviously, because they still grow horns and antlers. So, but yeah, to us, hunting the Midwest was always just a dream. And now that I live here, I get to live it, and it's a major difference between the deer size, the deer density, and it was just always a dream to us.
What do you think the biggest difference in hunting the Midwest compared to hunting the South for deer? What do you think the biggest difference is?
Food.
Body.
Food,
yeah. Yep.
Food. There's so much more food here with the crops all over the place. They're obviously they still eat down there, but they, a lot of people just either put in a food plot or run corn feeders off season, something like that.
Are they allowed to bait there?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Nope. No baiting allowed in Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff, when you don't go down there much or never go down there to hunt. Yeah. You don't know it, but you see baiting allowed in a lot of states anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No baiting is allowed yet in Mississippi.
Now, crossbow?
At the last that I checked, crossbow, you had to have a disability or a certain age.
So yeah, Indiana was one of the later states to actually accept it too, because it was going on for years before Indiana went into it. So that's cool that somebody's trying to stay strong to the traditional archery.
I was against crossbow hunting.
I was too, till my kids started hunting it, and it was so nice.
I actually killed one of my biggest deer. First shot, I got him with an R10 at 67 yards.
Holy smokes.
And that was the first shot with a crossbow I ever shot. And I just saw it, and I decided I was going to take it. It was a buddy of mine, and it was dead on, and that's what convinced. Now, I didn't buy a Raven because, that's a little bit too much for me.
Yeah. A little salty for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I can just wait. I can wait a month and buy a rifle. It's the same thing, right?
Couple of them.
The Raven shoots the distance of a rifle, damn near.
Yeah, it's a couple of them, and so that's what convinced me to get a crossbow. So I mean, it's just another weapon in the artillery.
It is, but the trick was, it ain't the weapon. You put yourself in the right spot at the right time.
You got it. And you can still miss with a crossbow. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Oh, I know. Got plenty of guys that done that.
Yeah.
Yep,
it doesn't make the target any bigger.
Right. So when it comes to private land versus public land, I know you're a big public land guy. Talk to us about the public land that you're hunting, the terrain, that sort of thing when it comes to the public land that you're approaching.
So we'll just start. We'll just start as if I only know that a piece of public is existing
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't went to yet. And so if like in Virginia, when on this turkey trip that I'm making this year, never been to Virginia, I had a thought in my mind that I wanted to hunt the mountains. And so basically, in order to help be successful, if you do travel to public land or even any public land in your own state, you can go on any website and first look up
Yep.
what counties, the harvest numbers of each county, and then you can find if there's any public land in that county. I don't necessarily go to the county that's killed the most animals because normally that means the most traffic.
True.
And so, you don't have to get that highest number area, get that mid-range or even the lower range. And I picked one of the state or the counties in Virginia that hardly had any turkeys killed. But it's very mountainous. It's got what I'm looking for, river, bottoms, and creeks, and big points, and a lake. And so as far as turkey hunting, that's the type of terrain or what I would look for is you just have to find what they like. And, in first, rivers, creeks, food. And I just found out that the place that I decided to go hunt, they conducted a huge burn because I called the property.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh yeah.
That's
I love
another
that.
thing.
Even for deer.
If there's a property or a house or a ranger, a game warden, biologist, any of those people that you can get in contact to help you figure out the piece of public property before you get there. Now, as far as public property that I've hunted for years and years, I spend the time in those woods. If I have time to go there, I'm going to go there and try to learn something. And that's what I did with Wilbur. I spent a long time, hours and hours at Wilbur, because at the time I didn't have any children. I was single. I was just
enjoying.
We
life.
hear that.
and Wilbur, if you know the layout of Wilbur, it's basically a square. You can go all the way around it if you want to keep going. And I just learned, and putting boots to the ground on public is pretty much the best advice. Is to be in the woods where you want to hunt and try to see if you can find what you're looking for. And a lot of people don't hunt the hot sign because they want to see what else is there.
What else? Keep digging deeper.
Hunt right then and there. You find
absolutely.
That hot sign, do that.
I've learned that in Kentucky, man. I've walked through so much. I'm like, everybody's seen this. It's only a quarter mile.
Right.
Then you go right by it.
Or you could be like me when I hunted Ohio, and I hunted the hot sign, and not 30 minutes in the stand, I had a guy running past me with a crossbow.
Yeah.
When I mean running like an Olympic sprinter through the woods.
Chasing him or what?
I have no idea. He was screaming at the top of his lungs.
Shit.
Yeah, like I said, I don't hunt. No, I was up in my climber, up in the stand, which when somebody comes running through there screaming, it'll make you second guess yourself sometimes.
I bet it would.
So question for you. I mean, just met you tonight. How often do you hunt new property that it's public land that you've never been to before?
Every year.
Okay, so that's what I was hoping you'd say. Do you dive straight in, or do you drive around? Like, say you get there and it's opening day, and you're like, I need to get in the woods. Do you drive around to see the pressure first? Because I'm excited kind of guy. I'm like, I'm going here. I've already Google mapped it. I'm going in. Or I start to see some people don't hunt for the day or two and drive around and just see where the pressure is.
Well, my first actual traveling, on to another state was 2 years ago. Actually, I've hunted and traveled my home state and Indiana. Mm-hmm. But as far as diving in and saying, all right, I see people doing it, I'm committing, I can get over the price of a tag and realize that I might not shoot nothing. Mm-hmm. That was number one. Getting over how salty some tags are without even knowing if you're going to see anything.
You did tell the wife that are $100 cheaper, though, right? All right, continue.
So I ended up deciding to go to Kentucky just a couple years ago, and I said, Kentucky is one of the states that allows more than one bird, and it's not a really salty price because you get 2 birds.
Mm-hmm.
We picked a spot from a map, and a guy that I met off of another web page, turkey hunting page, he came all the way from New York.
Wow.
Man, I met a deer hunter that came down there in New York and Kentucky, and he killed a 130. So velvet. It was pretty cool. But yeah, that's sorry. It just it was same scenario.
So he called me on the way down, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm about 10 hours away." I'm like, "Okay, well, it's not very far from my house, so just call me when you get closer." So we decided to meet up at the boat ramp where we were going to go, and he said, "All right, so what are we going to do?" And I said, I don't know. We're just going to go in the woods. First thing is we're going to find a gate, and we're going to park there. The first time we see headlights, whether they're hunting or not, we're out. And so that's what we did. We picked a spot on the map that had a gas line and a power line and said we were going to stand on that power line with a bunch of ridges and hear the whole place that we wanted to hear. If a bird gobbles, he gobbles. And so that's what we did. And within 20, 30 minutes, Brett killed one. I let him pull the trigger first for driving 11 and a half hours.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well played for you. I mean, kudos to you.
And so he drove that whole way with no sleep. We went straight to the turkey woods, basically, and stood there. And this local comes walking by, and he asks my buddy, because of his accent, he said, "Are you from New York?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "No offense, but we were here, we parked here, and if we hear a gobble in this area, we're going to go hunt it." And he goes,
"Too bad."
"Oh, no, we understand. You were here first. Welcome to Kentucky." The guy kept walking where we wanted to go, so we just stopped. 20 minutes later, we would have walked right by this gobbler. And so the thing between me
So he got to hear the gunshot and know damn well that it was one of you guys. That's hell yeah.
The thing between me and Brett now is welcome to Kentucky. We'll say it wherever we go.
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
See, that's been my biggest state for turkeys. I killed my first gobbler in Kentucky when I was 14. I've killed 10-plus birds there. Nobody believes me when I say it, but people may make fun of me for this comment. You can chirp me all you want, but Kentucky is the turkey capital of the United States.
Yes, it's great.
It doesn't matter where you're at. Where we went a couple years ago, taking his boys on youth trip, it didn't matter what field you drove past. There were turkeys in that field. It didn't matter where you went. You could hear them. We got on them as much as possible. We weren't successful when he took the boys down there. But turkey hunting in Kentucky mid-April to late April is unbelievable. If you don't know what you're doing in the turkey woods, I'm sorry about you. But if you learn how to play with those birds down in Kentucky, it makes you a better turkey hunter overall.
I was going to touch base back on that question about the public land. Brett killed his bird. He not slept, drove all night. We decided to go to a different area, and he turned to me and goes, "Look." I said, "Look, you ain't got to say nothing. You already killed a bird. You go sleep." Okay, got this. And not an hour later, I'm back at camp with a bird over my shoulder.
There you go.
I had never been there before, and we doubled on the same day. But we just picked a spot that looked good with the things that we think turkeys like, and I didn't stop hunting. That's another thing. If you can hunt all day, hunt all day.
Absolutely. Well, like I've mentioned before on this podcast, I think I've even told a story before, same kind of area that I'm talking about where we took the boys a couple years ago. You go down there and ask those same farmers or those same landowners to deer hunt. It's like sleeping with their wife.
Yes.
You ask them to turkey hunt, kill all of them. We don't care. Go after all of them. Kill as many as you want to. You want to shoot them with this 22 250? It's like, no. We'll do it the right way. Like, just let us in here. Like, they don't care about turkey hunting down there. It's all deer hunting to them.
Well, Kentucky's deer herd has highly improved.
Oh, for sure.
Social media is pretty much the only thing I get to see for Kentucky. But
well, Kentucky. So I've hunted it for 11. This will be our 12th season. This coming season, where we've hunted, it was ungodly our first few years. But I think EHD put a hurt on it because it wasn't nothing between 5 of us going down there to see 30 plus every set.
Yep.
And,
Well, EHD hit Henry and Wayne County real hard.
absolutely,
It still has.
they did this year. I found a few dead. I've went shed hunting only twice this year,
Two deer,
and we found 2 dead ones. But this year was not as bad as it was about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, it was a stupid amount of deer I found dead.
I remember that because they brought the sharpshooters in at Brookville for EHD that year, I believe, or there soon after.
Yep, yeah. But no, it's something's got to give, man. EHD, is that shit been around forever? No, that's what it's weird to me. Something's got to give.
I don't really understand EHD nor the process of transmitting it because they're eating from.
It's a bug in the water. It's a bug in the water when we have a dry season that comes up out of the ground, because it stays down in the water or in moisture. When it dries up, the bug comes up, and when they're supposedly getting drinks, when it gets in their nostrils, and then that's how it gets infected. Why is that not bugging coyotes? Why is that you don't find dead coyotes when you're shed hunting? You don't find. Why is it only deer? That's
cattle,
just weird to me.
Anything.
I mean, yeah, cattle could be the same thing.
I don't know. It's got to be there's got to be some research on it already. I don't know exactly why, but you're right. It seems like, and the way that they spin in circles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Water. It's
Mm-hmm.
all
all around water.
Like
There's a video. I don't know if you've seen it, but it just you may be able to YouTube like buck walking through fire. It's a group of people like on the river, and they got a fire going. And he's a stud. Comes down through them, and they're like, "What the heck?" And they're videoing him. And this buck kind of walks in the water, comes up, walks around, then walks straight through their fire as it's going, and it don't even faze him. Then all of a sudden he walks back in the water, and he just walks straight down in the water. And they're like, he's drowned himself. All on video on YouTube, and it is a crazy-ass video. But he's just not even there in the right state of mind.
I couldn't imagine having the deer that you dream of, and then all of a sudden he disappears from a tree.
Oh, some of those people find 2 years of sheds of them, you know what I mean? Just, man, it's heartbreaking.
It is. It's crazy.
So when it comes to this public land that you're hunting, and maybe even if you dabble a little bit into the private game, how exactly are you scouting these properties year in and year out?
Well, public land differs from private as far as scouting.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much your best bet, and I can only give, and I my opinion has changed now compared to what it was when I first started hunting public property, because now it's more focused on particular areas of the public instead of the entire piece of public. So where I used to spend hours and hours and hours hanging trail cameras, walking, finding these incredible areas, or not finding them, now I would more focus on map scouting and trying to find something that is not necessarily off the road, because it's giants hide right off the road. Absolutely. It's more about cover, terrain, and you have to literally go in there and then see if it happens. Like this past year, I had been wanting to hunt this section of Monroe Lake for a long time, never deer hunted it, but the very first spring I was here, I went down there and you couldn't throw a dime without hitting a deer track. And I said, you might want to touch base on this again. And this past year, I finally decided, hey, go see what you see. So I drove down in there, and exactly where I wanted to get, there was a truck parked. But on the way to that spot, I noticed a giant CRP field that was cut off by a really deep creek. And I said, you got to get on that CRP field. So I found a way, a log jam. I crossed the creek, got over there, found a giant rub. I even posted a video of it. I shot a deer that wasn't the one leaving the sign, and 2 days later, 160 inches standing on the bank looking at me, and I filmed the whole thing. And then I posted it. Yeah, he stands there looking at me. I knew that he was not the one making the sign, but the point was I found the sign to be able to be in the right area.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it comes down to, is literally I'll live by that put boots on the ground motto. Get in there and look and find more concentrated areas. If you're new to public land altogether, the best bet would be to spend as much time to learn the whole place like I used to.
Now, let me ask you. So you said to the Kentucky place you found a power line or a pipeline. I can't remember. And you killed a turkey off it. Now, I'd say I'm a freshman to turkey hunting. I'm not even a sophomore yet. I've killed one, and it was my first year. I haven't killed one. I haven't killed one 4 or 5 years. I haven't killed one since then, but it's been about 4 or 5 years. And I go down to Brookville, which you're familiar with Brookville.
Very.
And I go down there and I hunt, and I just find open fields and hunt off of. But man, over the years, I've done it. I keep kicking myself in the ass because when I hear them, they don't come down in those fields, and I don't feel like they're going to those open fields. I feel like I need to be in the woods to kill them. Now, I could be wrong, but I just feel like I need to find a spot in the woods, inside the woods, to kill them. Now, if that's the case, what do you look for inside the woods?
Okay, so inside,
because you can look at ridges and stuff.
That's correct. So say you're wanting to, that they're in the woods. Outside of hearing them is the dead giveaway that where they are. Let's say you don't hear them. Okay.
Yep.
Scratching is by far the number one sign that turkeys are there. And then
so it's like a deer rub or scrape.
It is. It looks like leaves literally taken, moved, and flipped upside down and pushed out of the way. Like turkeys, when they scratch, they go like this. So they kick their leaves straight back and then go back to where they just scratched and peck.
Look for bugs.
It leaves a huge trail and track wherever you want to go. But obviously, the reason why you really want to focus on gas lines and power lines is because it's extremely cleared out right in there. They love to strut in there, but if you can get them before they get to there, that's what you would need to do. So that's why you would set up slightly inside of the wood line, and as they come down, or as you said, come down the hill, sometimes they just won't. Maybe their strut zone is halfway up the ridge. And a lot of turkeys will not go into fields unless they're soaking wet because, coyotes and they prowl on the edges. And so I've also seen turkeys that strut in fields, but there's all kinds of fields right here around me that we have, and they stay on my ridge. It's just what these turkeys prefer.
Little hardwoods bird.
I love hardwoods birds.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think I'm going this turkey season not sitting out there in Brookville on the fields because I feel like every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be sitting on those.
You need my Brookville pins?
Drop them.
we could handle that.
I got a buddy that's got 23 acres. It's about 4 miles past the dam. And it's just the road that separates it from Brookville to his property. And he gets turkeys on there, but they're almost seasonal turkeys. Like, you don't get them in there year round. But and it's kind of crazy, but it's a good little area. But, man, I just want to kill one over there at Brookville.
I got frustrated with Brookville. I never killed a bird in Brookville.
But there's a bunch of them.
I've been a part of a couple birds in Brookville.
I found a lot. I have a couple other guys that I'm, friends with, and now part of the Nexus Scentlock brands, Harrison and Drew. Drew actually is a guide for Triple O Outfitters.
Yep.
Down there, Triple O Outfitters down there, and so he actually lives right outside Brookville, and so I've gained information from him, and I found some great spots. But I'll be honest, I gave up hunting Brookville. Just simply because I set a trail camera in the hardest to reach spot in a cedar thicket. And I went in there and somebody had stole the memory card, turned my camera around and wrapped it back up.
Dundee.
Bro, I'd rather you steal the camera than take my memory card.
What the hell? Did you just pull that out of your pocket?
In that case, I got it's just around.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, but no, that's good. That's good info because I think I am going to dig into the woods this year, man.
I would.
I know filming will be a little tougher for Brett. Brett will be cussing me, but I think it'll be some cool.
It happens. I think a lot of people in like the Brookville area, or that try to get in on the Brookville area, they want to hit that morning. They want to hit that the daybreak to the 9:30, 10 o'clock area. Then they're gone. They want breakfast. They want Waffle House. They want Hardee's in Connorsville or whatever. And then, like, they're all gone. That's when we need to pounce. Yeah, we need to eat breakfast before them. But we need to pounce after all those people leave.
How about let's talk about the issue with mushroom hunters.
My gosh.
Too. That's a whole nother
That is horrible. Why are we letting that happen?
Yeah. We ran into quite of those in Brookville.
So another thing that blew my mind is whenever I hunt somewhere on state property, is I park where I think you're allowed to. Those damn mushroom hunters, I'm a mushroom hunter, but I got my places I go to. Those sons of bitches park wherever the hell they want.
Yeah, in Indiana, or at least at Wilbur, you can't even, mushroom hunters can't go until 1. And
yes.
DNR properties are like that here.
Right. And a lot of fish and wildlife areas in Indiana, you can only turkey hunt until 1, noon, 12 or 1 o'clock, and then you got to be out of the woods, period.
A funny story about that. I think it was me and Brett this year. Yeah, it was me and you. So we walked, we hiked, we hunted in the morning, then hiked and hiked and hiked, and we're sitting there, and we're like, just sitting there, just bullshitting at the last, noon. And I was like, dude, I think there is a law, like a rule, something about how long you can hunt here. And we looked it up, and we're like, yep, we got 3 minutes.
We gone. And we see it at Brookville, close to the bridge. I don't remember what's the bridge that goes
Causeway.
Yeah. We saw a gobbler. I ain't kidding you. He was climbing up the rock face, and it was like something you see a mountain lion on.
I guarantee you, I've had to have seen that gobbler. He crosses right there on the rock face.
He was right there at the bridge.
Went up it like a bobcat, and I was like, "What the hell did I?" Yep.
I wasn't successful in Brookville. Brookville was one of the spots that I had never seen before that I picked. That I was younger on public property and did not know the same information. Mm-hmm. It's also one of the public properties that I learned what not to do.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just as important. A good friend of mine once told me, he said, scouting will tell you, and Dave Owens actually said the same thing in his Pinhoti project. He said that scouting will tell you where you don't want to be as much as it'll tell you where you do want to be.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's the main thing on public scouting.
So I'm going to go through a couple situations with you. I know we're talking turkeys, but I'm talking deer in this example. So when you hook up on these public lands, public land stand locations, what are you basing your stand locations on? Are you off of a bedding area? Are you off of a food source? How are you setting up your stand locations for whitetails on public land?
I'm gonna go with sign. It ain't gonna be locations. It ain't gonna be any of that. It's gonna be by sign.
Well, it's first off, it's boots on the ground finding sign. If you don't find sign or you're not hunting where deer are, then you're not gonna see them.
Yep.
But I, on public land, always will try to find the bedding area and hunt the downwind side of the bedding area. Always play the wind. Always. On public land, if they smell you, there's none of this. What is that? On public
Hell no.
land, if they smell you, they're gone. Just like that. And so, you can wear, there's all the scent products in the world, right? I'm not discrediting any of those, but if they smell you, they're gone.
Hey, if all scent lock gear worked like it does, say they does or whatever, guess what? Marijuana shops and all those for the years would be hiding all their stuff inside of a shirt.
You're all right. Yes. Yeah. And so something else about stand location on private property, on public property, is pressure. I mean, if you can be invisible and still be visible, which is what I did at Wilbur. You could see me from the road if you looked close enough, but no one was ever able to find me nor see me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. You've got to get to where deer also can figure out that people continue to go deeper. That will push them closer and closer to the road. And actually, some of the best sign I ever found at Wilbur was, you remember the old brick schoolhouse?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's now all growed up in there, and I don't hunt it anymore. And if you happen to be watching this
I knew you didn't because you're telling us about it.
if you happen to be watching this podcast, I am giving you a vital piece of information. Behind that brick schoolhouse is a creek, and between the creek and both sides of that creek, deer love it. And so when I found that, I immediately set up on that, and then you read what the deer do. You get to their area. If they're traveling 70 yards too far to your location, and you see more than one or two, and they constantly use that same trail,
I need to be there.
you need to move and split that distance. But really, ultimately, it's staying away from where they're traveling, find their trails, don't let your scent go that way, see what they're doing, and then make adjustments as you go forward in any hunting season.
I agree.
So we're going to go through a couple examples of all this. So early season, when everything's split up, it's greenery out. You may be hunting certain food sources, that sort of thing. What are you doing early season on this public land to hop on these deer?
Me in Indiana, I'm finding acorns. If I can find acorns in Indiana, because Indiana is one of those states that doesn't have a lot of trees, so it's like deer candy to them here.
Mm-hmm.
If you find the acorns early season, you're going to find deer. And that's just all there is to it. I mean, it doesn't matter where they are; they will be there. If there's a squirrel there, there's a deer in the area.
Yep.
And then everybody hunts, the beans, the edge of beans, or I even like to hunt the small corners of cornfields that didn't grow up because it happened to be too much water, or just that corner it wasn't planted well enough. I love those open areas because deer will come out of that green thick stuff and the corn, and they'll stage there, and they'll do that all day. Some people say, deer are nocturnal, and that's not true. Deer
That's
move
not true.
all hours of the day. You just got to figure out where they're moving. And so that's early season is all about food. I don't, there's nothing else. And I mean, I guess if you're like in a really hot area, water, but
Have you?
Abundance.
So, are you a big YouTuber watching some YouTube videos?
I do.
So, have you watched The Hunting Beast?
Yes, I have.
So, Dan talks a lot about him having a vehicle. Oh yeah, he talks a lot about say the squirrels or raccoon stickers and all that, and he dresses it in like a church outfit and goes and scouts.
You talking about his scouting mobile?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got stickers.
Oh, absolutely. So we have one. Me and Brett have one of those.
It's called the Prius.
I have a Prius. Nobody in their damn right mind thinks that we're deer hunting in a Prius. So I can park that son of a bitch anywhere and scout.
I say nobody's laughing because we kill big deer out of this Prius.
Well, you got to do. In today's world, it's like you said. It's cutthroat. If someone sees you and you might be looking at something, they're going to loop around. Maybe not then. They're going to come back and they're going to look at that.
Especially if you kill a big one the year before. I mean, it's everywhere small town because it's deer hunting. It's not there's millions of us in that county. No.
We've talked about that before. In these little patch woods of Indiana, I'm not even talking about public. I'm talking about private. Every little patch of woods, there's somebody there.
Yes.
You don't think they know what you're doing or what you're hunting or that sort of thing. So when he's killing deer on this little bitty patch of 5 acres, and the guy hits him up on Facebook 2 days later after he kills his buck,
I did. This is true.
Hey, here's a picture of your buck. Congratulations. It's like, man, it's just so small.
I didn't even know the guy.
Yeah, we had no idea who the guy was.
Something that has dawned on me that I honestly think that Indiana, with the private land woods, not land like total, but woods, is probably smaller than public land.
Probably.
Let's take the northern half. The southern half.
Northern half. Southern's different, yeah.
For
Northern
sure.
half, I guarantee you that private land,
Absolutely.
wood-wise, is smaller than public land. And I bet we're only one of the few states that you can say, well, 30 out of our 63 counties or whatever it is that way.
Yeah, because I know just the Hoosier alone's 500,000 acres,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
stupid. Yeah.
and then you're not counting the 50. I mean, every lake pretty much has. I know Brookville's 56, 57,000 acres.
Patoka,
Atoka, I just went
Monroe.
for the first time ever this last deer season. Again, a piece of public property that is readily available for anyone that wants to hunt it. They do that. There's tons of acres of public land in Indiana, and not only Indiana, every state has public land to hunt.
For sure.
And so I went to Patoka. That same guy from New York, I told you we went to Kentucky. He came down and for deer camp. They do it every year.
If you kill a big one with him, I'm gonna call on him because he's a lucky charm. He's coming down and going with me.
He's killed a couple 150s out of the Hoosier already. Down
Has
there.
he really? Good for him.
Yeah, a couple. He's done well. It's not always that way, and sometimes and like he said last year, it's the first time he's really enjoyed and being able to hunt. And no fault to anyone else's. It's just he's played guide and taken people to their stands, and that came along, and so he didn't get to hunt as much. But back when he was able to, he killed some big ones out of the Hoosier. Public land, all of it's public.
That's awesome.
So transitioning from early season to the rut, when that last weekend of October, the first couple weekends of November hit. What are you doing? Exactly. What are you doing to chase these big Hoosier bucks?
So you went from bedding early season. Do you change it up when the rut kicks in?
Well, I got to change. I gotta make sure that's not confusing. Early season is all about food.
Okay.
And getting between food and bedding.
Yep.
Right? It's not necessarily just bedding because at that point, obviously you hunt their bedding, you're going to see deer, but that all changes come rut. When it's rut, you need to live around that bedding area pretty much exclusively.
I agree 100%.
I mean, they're all the food at the field edges, and you'll catch a buck, but more than likely you'll catch a young buck chasing the does in the fields, while the big buck is back here waiting,
watching,
doing something. And most times, if he's already got a doe, he's locked down. He's not coming in that field until well after dark. And so I would get close to the bedding area come rut time, and then you start to bring in the audio that you're allowed to give back to and try to draw him in. You're allowed to create and mimic his sounds, her sounds, and it works so much better, especially that October 24th to the 31st.
Yeah, there's that window, right?
You start those calls.
If there's a Hoosier watching this, I want you to pay attention to what he just said. There is a window to this. It's not, you can't do it.
It ain't a window, it's a door.
Yeah, it may be a door or a window, whatever.
It's so hot and so easy. Even the young ones. You'll draw the young ones in too, but I've seen the first year I was dating my wife, her dad, it's her fault, okay? The first few statements she made to me was my dad owns X land in Southern Indiana.
So when we going out, girl?
Where you been my whole life?
We got married a couple years ago.
Right.
And so now I live on that property, right? That was always the dream. He told us from the start, if y'all get married, we'll give you land. Y'all
good for you guys.
Yeah, I'm happy for you guys.
We're here. And so,
the rut.
The rut. Okay, so I came down here first time ever hunting. This is actually my first time hunting private land in Indiana, to be honest.
What county are you in?
This is Eastern Green, so I'm right up against Monroe.
Money.
And so, first time I'm ever in the woods, October 24th. It was a cold, crisp morning, and I hit my Primos can. It wasn't quite daylight yet, and I knew that if something came by that I wouldn't be able to shoot them. But I wanted to get the woods awake. And so I took that can and I took that grunt tube that I had and I hit it and boom, boom, boom. And all of a sudden I hear ch, ch, ch. And I look, I'm sitting above our creek. And then the creek, across the creek is really thick bedding. And I look over there and I see in the creek just a black shape come across the creek and almost to the base of my tree. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but he started rubbing the ground and scraping his horns. And I knew at that point it was a buck at least. So he went on by me. I couldn't shoot him, couldn't see him. I let him get by me, and I let it get about 20 more minutes, and I rattled my horns, and I looked behind me, and he's coming. And I mean, this is 20 minutes later, and he's coming on a beeline. He just happens to have to cross a ravine with a dead tree in it, and it forced him to turn my way. I was not ready for the nerves that I would have for a deer acting like you see on TV, like you should. You hit that call, da-da-da, here he comes. And I turned around and I had my harness on this side, and it already put me in an awkward position to where it was applying pressure on my draw arm. And so when I shot him at 25 yards, shot at him, it grazed his brisket and he ran off. He was.
Oh, damn.
But the point of that is how the sound changes everything in that 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
You can get him to do whatever you want to if he is hot and can hear you.
You got to know this. You got to know the situation too.
But you telling that story, it brings up a couple that I have. I got 2 stories kind of similar to that. Is October 23rd. I was sitting there and I screw it. It's time to break out the call, and I just threw a couple grunts out there and a growl, and one of the biggest bodied deer I've ever killed. And you're an Indiana boy.
Oh yeah.
So he came in and I seen the mass on him. The time length, he wasn't much of him. And I was like, dude, this body of this thing is a shooter. Mm-hmm. This last 15 minutes, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I still could tell he's a shooter.
Yeah.
I shot him and I had to leave. I had to be at work. I was supervisor on 3rd shift at the time, so it was only me. There's no other management staff. I have to go.
Gotcha.
So I had to leave him overnight and came and find him next morning. This thing ended up weighing 252. Woo. Okay. I'm guessing that he's probably 6 years old. To shoot a deer in Indiana, it's a 6-year-old at 252. I mean, that's legit. 220 is a giant here, body wise.
That's a giant for Mississippi. I mean, 220 is giant.
Oh, yeah, true that. But he weighed 252, and that was October 23rd, and the vocal got him in there. Yeah. Now, my other story I had was I was way younger, but it was dark, and I could hear deer coming through, and he was walking away from me. And I was like, man, I don't know what that is. I could hear him walking, but I threw a grunt and a bleat. I was like, my thought process was, if I can keep him in the vicinity till it gets daylight, I can have a chance to figure out what he was. Mm-hmm. And it worked to a T. He came. I heard him turn around, come right back to me.
That's right.
I heard him make a scrape. I heard him make all this. He starts walking away, but he gave me another 20 minutes. Oh, I'm thinking it's 190s, like I don't know what the hell it is, but he sounds big. But he came, he did all that, and he started walking away, but he gave me another 15 minutes. But this time it's starting to get a little bit of daylight. I hit a grunt again as he's walking away. He comes back. I see him at this point. Now I got enough daylight and a shooting light.
Mm-hmm.
He was an 80-inch deer. But the vocal, I mean, that's something I've never done before.
Yeah.
But my thought process, and it worked, was just, hey, let's just call him and see what it is. Keep him close to daylight, and it worked.
Have you ever heard that deep buck roar?
Oh, I heard it.
From the
I
woods.
heard it once this year.
I've just seen it on video. I've never heard it.
It is an amazing sound when you hear that, and it just travels, and you know he's coming.
Yeah.
And you probably won't see him, but you'll hear him.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big vocalization guy until I met him, and he's kind of saying, he's got 10, 15 years experience on me, so obviously I'm going to listen to what he's saying. And he's talking about snort wheezing and all this.
Snort wheeze is the thing, man.
And I've never really played with a snort wheeze until this year. My buck, he came in at 70 yards at just before 11 o'clock-ish. He kind of came around through some thick bedding, and when he stopped, I did the old snort wheeze, and old boy was very interested in what I had to say. He's looking, take a couple steps. I did it again. I had enough balls to do it again.
No, yeah, sure.
And he looked at me again, and he took a couple steps towards me, ears forward, everything. And I'm like, I have his attention. Well, he kept walking. I'm like, man, I would love to shoot that deer. Like, he's a nice deer. Next thing I know, I look back, and he had circled all the way downwind, and he was working his way back. He wanted to know what that noise was or who was challenging him, and I shot him at 46 yards. But, like, I would have never had that confidence to do that sort of thing unless it involved having experience or knowing somebody that put that idea in your head, that sort of thing. And hunting the rut in Indiana, depending on where you're at or what part of Indiana that you're at, it can be a whole different experience.
I tell you that 3 years ago I snort-wheezed a buck in and shot him at 15, 20 yards. I am a true believer that a mouth snort-wheeze will work better than a $40 grunt call.
For sure.
I'm new to the snort-wheeze.
I'm telling you, man. I got $10 on my wall that are 120s, 125s plus, and most of them, I ain't lying, has been a snort-wheeze to get them in bow range, because I think I've only killed I don't think I have one on my wall. It was a gun kill. I think my boys have some that are gun kills, but the ones I've killed has been all bow kills.
I'd always been, my grandpa always told me, which in Mississippi, even my grandpa, my uncle, I can't remember anyone ever carrying a call or anything like that. My roots were always just in cow pastures and these edges of these pine thickets. And so we just never used calls. When I came up here, there was an older gentleman that I was just, kind of helping me as far as asking the same questions.
Yeah.
How do you hunt Indiana deer?
Pick his brain and love the conversations, man.
Exactly. And he said, one thing he told me, he said, at that point, if they're walking away, what do you have, to lose? Throw everything you have at him to turn him around.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's exactly what your snort-wheeze is, the exact same way. You just got to throw the kitchen sink at him sometimes. And he may not hear you, but if he does, he's at least going to give you a look. Most times than not, if he has enough time, he will loop around you.
Had I not done it, I don't think I'd have killed that deer. Mm-hmm. He was scent checking some doe bedding, and it's crazy. Right before I shot him, he jumped a doe up, and she scared him, and he scared her. And when that whole thing went down, I had enough time to range him. Mm-hmm. And most people think I'm crazy for shooting a deer at 46 yards.
Nope.
When I had that range, I didn't think twice. I said, I want this deer. I'm taking this shot. I had enough confidence to take that shot.
That's all it's about. Everybody wants to talk about shooting these long distances.
You know why they do?
Because they don't have the balls.
No. The real reason why you hear it is it's the people in the outdoor shows that say, I won't shoot anything over 30. You know why? Because they encounter so many. We have to take advantage of when we do have one within 50 yards.
Yep.
They encounter so many, like, I shouldn't have taken that shot. Well, yeah, you shouldn't, because the next day you're going to encounter another 140s.
Now, I will say, you can't shoot 50 yards with a Fred Bear Whitetail 1. You got to make sure you got
can, but the wind's got to be right.
Zero. You gotta have. I've been shooting PSE for years. I live and die by my PSE.
You got a PSE. He's got a Matthews. I got a Bowtech. So
yeah, everybody's got their own deal.
We're good. We need a 3D shoot right now.
I would not win. I've drank too much.
So transitioning from early season to rut to late season, what's your late season approach on these whitetails?
Back to food.
So these squirrels that we mentioned earlier, some of them that sound like Boone and Crockett, squirrels and deer coming, they will. I mean, those same acorns that we spoke of earlier, they come into play late season as well, because they'll be digging them up, the same ones the squirrels have buried. If you have corn or beans late season in the Midwest, you're going to have every deer. If you have it in abundance, you will pull deer for miles.
Man, yeah. I've seen some of those hunting shows that they have those corn standing and they bring all those different deer in. That's a dream right there.
Right. Yeah, my family, the guy I told you about that owns all that property south of Muncie, he said, I'm sorry, I just can't leave $5,000 just sitting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't blame him one damn bit. But damn, I wish I had 5,000 to give him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty much all about food. Now, the only other thing that is really, really handy is the transition area. That back to that transition area between the bedding and the food. And a lot of times, late season deer trails are highly defined because there's no growth. Maybe there's been snow. Uh, you can go on a good trail in hardwoods without snow, and it looks like a cow trail.
Yep, that time of year definitely does.
If you hunt those transition areas between those two areas, which is how I did that. I found that buck last November, or that area. I knew the CRP was here, and there was hardwoods, and then a giant cornfield, and the creek, and then a neighborhood pinched it down. They had to walk through there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing we didn't even touch base on, pinch points.
Yeah.
Natural pinch points, especially with the way crops are sometimes cut in, they will deer like cover. And if it pinches down and it's only a little bit, that's where they're going to go. And then they'll pop out somewhere else.
I would say I probably got lucky a little bit on my deer. I would say I was pretty close to a natural pinch point. I was in between bedding and food. And you're talking a window of 40 to 45 to 50 yards.
Yeah.
It can be a small general area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm a saddle hunter. I'm a mobile hunter, and I'm actually a preset stand hunter with Adam on a few places. I happen to be sitting in a preset hang on that I've had there since 2015. Like it's been there for a hot minute. I knew what I was doing when I placed it there. I just happened to be in that hot spot, in that natural. It was a natural pinch point. It's been a natural pinch point for years. That's why I have a stand there.
That's right. That's. But ultimately, shifting back to the late season, I mean, food. I mean, that's really. I don't really know a late season tactic outside of, if you're not
Food.
focused on food, then you're probably not going to have a good chance. But late season is a great chance to still kill a giant.
For sure.
So, Jeremy, question for you. So, it just dawned on me. I never really thought it out. So, I grew up in Henry County. I can tell you where the herds are every year. It's almost the same places.
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it really food? Is it pressure?
Well, I'd say it's a combination. It's a combination of food and pressure. But
because you've probably experienced it too from wherever you've lived.
they disappear.
Say for like 3 or 4 years, you're like, there ain't no deer in my area, but you know where they herd up. So around here, it's a Girl Scout camp that I'm familiar with, and another places off of Blue River that they always herd up. I mean, I've seen upwards over 100 before.
Yep.
And
it's got to be in late season. It's all about food, and that's what I meant by drawing deer for miles. If you got that farmer that's willing to let go of that $5,000 truck sitting out there that he can cash in, and he leaves standing corn up, or even if he just runs over it and leaves it down on the ground, yeah, they're going to draw for miles.
It could just be that farmer that has the piece of shit equipment and don't pick half the beans and get half the corn too.
Yeah, but just like we're serious about deer hunting, I found these Indiana farmers are serious about their farm.
Absolutely.
They got that $275,000 combine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but they're broke.
So let's talk a little bit of gear talk. I don't want to put up too much emphasis on it, but let's talk about bows. What kind, you touched on it there a couple times. What kind of bow you got?
I have and I live and die by my bow. I have a PSE Dream Season Evo. And it topped out, I think, on the market brand new. It was $800 and something, and it was shooting 350 or 320 FPS. And with my arrow set up, and this bow is, I think this bow came out in 2011.
I was going to ask you what year. So you were on the same
page
as me.
And me.
Because Brett's been talking about buying a different bow a few different times. And I'm like, dude, you kill a deer with that bow. You trust that bow.
That's
Do
right.
not get rid of it.
I bought my
you
bow
have
in 2010.
faith. A bow that you have faith in, yes, there's way better out there.
I'm shooting tax with
Absolutely.
it.
But when you have a bow that you're absolutely, it's like, I dare deer to come out.
Yeah.
Stay with it.
So we watched a video today. The guy shot the deer no more than 30 yards on the decoy.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking a high price kind of guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't get full penetration. This year when I shot that deer at 46 yards, I had a full pass through.
What, and you shooting like 50 pounds or something?
65.
But that's like the one we watched today. He may not have been shooting.
I don't know what he was shooting, but
I was talking about him.
Yeah. I have no idea what
it's all different.
Yeah, it is, and it is.
But it just comes down. It's not what you shoot or how you shoot it. It's what you believe in, what you trust, man.
And that's why I'll shoot it till it breaks, and when it breaks, it's going on the wall.
I had a shit. I can't remember the name of that damn bow. It wasn't a Bowtech. It was, I can't remember, but I probably killed, this is back when I was younger, and I shot every deer around. I shot, 4 does. I'm shooting 4 does.
Down.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm like, man, I ain't seeing shit. Well, I wonder why. But anyways, that bow, I probably killed 35, 45 deer with it. And I wish I still had it. And my buddies, when I was shooting deer with it, said that dang thing's inhumane because it shot so slow, But it was a bow that was just, man, if I just believed in it. I trusted it. Like, so it don't matter what you really shoot.
It's whatever shoots well for you. Whatever you can shoot.
Absolutely.
For sure. So when it comes to stands, what do you got? You got a climber, you got sticks and a hang on, you got a saddle. What you rocking?
I want to let me stop him real quick. I gotta ask one quick question. So when you kill a big buck this year with your bow, you're done with it. Do you have a desire to get a recurve out and try shooting a doe with it?
No.
You don't want nothing to do with it.
I'm with you.
I want that, dude. I think it'll be a fun challenge.
I originally learned to shoot archery with a recurve.
Did you really?
Yeah, I learned instinctive shooting first.
Okay.
And to tell you the truth,
why do you want out of it? You don't want nothing to do with it.
Well, I'll tell you. I went outside in my grandma's yard and I took it and I shot it straight up and I freaked out and I ran. Ever since.
I can't imagine you drinking beer and telling these stories.
Yeah. So my uncle, it was my grandfather's recurve. He actually went to restring it, and it was so old that when he let go to relieve the pressure, it sucked the string down through the
limb of it.
The limb of the riser area would be the riser in it, and so it broke. That was the only recurve I only had any experience with. And no, I don't have any desire. It's just pretty tough as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. That's why I wouldn't try to kill a big one. I'd make sure I got a buck down, and then let's go try shooting a doe with it.
No. As far as equipment, I live and die by my climber. I am not yet into the saddle game because it just, and no knock on anyone else, it just doesn't make sense to me to face a tree and sneeze or I'm hanging. I just, and I use my live and die by my climber. I have an API. It weighs 16.
I had one of those.
I love I'm sorry. My API got stolen. The one I have now is actually an X-stand climber.
My API I bought at McDonald's bait shop.
I loved my API.
I bought it at McDonald's bait shop there in Nicetown.
They have the net seating too?
No, it didn't. It was actually, a funny story was, it was my first credit card and I had a $500 limit on it.
$399 of it?
Hey, so they bumped it up because I made all my payments on it. I found out that they did that, and I was maybe 19 years old. I was like, I'm getting a new climber. So I went to McDonald's bait shop, and that's what they had, and I bought it, and that thing was light as could be, and I loved it, but I gave it to a dude to use because I bought a Summit, and I never seen that guy, never brought that thing back, and I never seen that guy again.
You bought it from my ex's grandfather.
awesome.
That's funny.
But as far as I also live and by my set stands, my lock-ons. I have two lock-ons. I have one up on the ridge, probably 400 yards from the house, and then I have one. We have probably I don't know. It's probably 40 feet wide limestone creek right here in our backyard, and that flows at the bottom of our ridge. And then there's a four-wheeler trail that is above it, and I have a lock-on that is also watching that. And but no, public, I carry my climber, live and die by it.
Nice. Okay. So what kind of lock-ons do you use?
Let's see.
Yeah, he said, hell, I don't know, but they're comfortable.
Actually, they're like the $100 combo from
Big Game?
the Sportsman's Guide. It's
There
literally
you go.
a lock-on stand and steps.
So I was going to say, do you use sticks or do you use
Sticks. Yeah.
sticks? Yep. Okay.
I do have one out in the yard right now that I intend to hang up on the very flat top part of our ridge that has the muddy-like steps in sections, not the saddle steps, but the bigger steps. I'm going to hang it up. But I'm almost tempted not to and just buy some saddle steps and use them for it.
Yeah.
I will try the saddle. I do.
Try it. Have it in your repertoire. Have it in your repertoire.
XOP makes a really, really good. XOP makes an awesome entry-level saddle.
There's a reason why grown men don't get in swings no more.
Is it kind of tight? Is it kind of tight in some areas? You know,
I don't think it is.
His balls hadn't dropped yet.
Yeah, they're still clammed up. What about clothing? What kind of clothing products do you like?
I mean, my grandfather, bless his heart, now he would go out there in a red flannel shirt and some khaki pants with some white paint on them from his construction job during the day,
Right.
smoking a cigarette, and a giant would walk right by. But me, I live and die by the brand that I represent. I've always, represented scent lock and scent blockers, more scent blocker, because I just like everything that they released, and so I like to usually wear a scent blocking base layer, and then if it's cold, if it's not cold outside, then I'll actually probably just wear my 3D leafy jacket and then a pair of the Scent Locker Dream Season pants that I have that are lightweight. And then once it starts getting colder, I'll start layering up, and I have the winter base layer or the winter suit for a Scent Locker or a Scent Blocker as well.
Yeah,
That's just comfortable.
Yeah, the hybrid, the thermal hybrids I have from Scent Blocker was probably one of the best purchases I've ever made for a whitetail woods. I can use them late October for an outer layer, and then come November, December when it's cold, I use them for a base layer.
That's right.
And it's super comfortable, does the job. I mean, I don't think it gets much better than that setup, but that's my personal opinion. So that's basically just what I don't really, I don't do anything, fancy with the camouflage. I'm not a Sitka guy. I'm a budget worker. That's why I like Scent Blocker products so much. And Scent Lock, really, I mean, they're affordable products, and it's never failed for me. I do get spotted sometimes, obviously, but that's more movement based than what camo I have on.
Yeah.
For sure. Tell us about your 2022 deer season. Tell us what happened, how it all played out.
Well, 2022, I've had to learn that hunting the property that we now live on has a tendency to take away from the enjoyable moments that I've enjoyed scouting and spending on public land, because you have to do so much more work. Here on the land that we have, it hadn't been hunted in 20 years, 25 years.
Is there room for two?
Huh?
Is there a room for two?
Or three?
I cannot even bring my foreman best friend, who's not boss, but higher up in the company than him
Yeah.
is my father-in-law, and I can't bring my foreman best friend. I can't bring him. And so it's just a family rule, and
Absolutely.
I got to respect that. And but hunting here changes the way I hunt. So here I run trail cameras, and I basically know what deer are here. I'm just picking and choosing when I want to shoot. And when you have property lines, you can only hunt in so many areas anyway.
Right.
And so I usually set up in the transition areas along the edge of thick stuff. And then, so that's what I did. Last year in 2021, I tagged out 2 does and my buck by October, I think it was 20th. And that was all off my property, but my season was over.
So what state did you end up hunting?
None. I just
Damn it.
I was doing some really, really long days at a fabrication shop, and I was really, I was more focused on work at the time anyway. I got it in, but this year I didn't want to have that because I now work at a pharmaceutical company that I run all their machines and equipment. So in order to prolong my hunting, I decided to step away from my property as of October 20th, and I did not hunt my property after October 20th this year. And I killed 2 does on my place, and then I told my wife before season 2 does max, period.
Done.
Because they're really friendly. Like the does, now that I live in this field, they're starting to come closer and closer to our house and bring their little ones. I've had 1 doe with triplets, and so I don't want to, kill a bunch of deer out. I don't want them to know they're being hunted. And so I went back to public, and then I tagged out my buck on public land. Went back 3 days later to take my climber down, and 160 decides to greet me.
Oh, that's the one you said you videoed.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
That was just this last year. I mean,
Good for you
literally.
to take your camera to go take that down, though.
Oh yeah, I take a camera, whether it's my phone or my little one, everywhere I go. Because if you don't shoot it, you can't make a video out of it.
Yep, and it ain't
I
true.
shoot everything. That's one thing. Jordan Summit from Buck Commander and Struck Commander, we've been at least acquaintances to where I could message him and ask him a lot of stuff as far as video for years. And one thing he told me way back when was to video everything, edit later.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I wish I would have videoed one thing. This may be my last story because Brett's looking at me like, damn, we're on 1 hour and 12. Shut up. But
I like to talk a lot. This is cool, man. I could literally.
Oh,
No.
we
did a 2.5-hour podcast one night.
One of my favorite was just called Tailgate Talk, and that's what I feel like every one of these are. Just guys talking hunting, and but no. So I got 3 boys of my own, then we foster one, and the foster one's first year we have him. He's on to learn to deer hunt. He says he's going to. We'll see if he does. But my oldest boy eats it up. He's a big bow hunter. He killed his first deer this year with a bow. He's killed him with crossbow. He's killed would have been a 130 plus, but he broke off half his side. But me and him 2 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago maybe, we sit in a spot, and I said, man, the wind ain't right. We get down, we move, and we see like 6 different bucks chasing a couple doe, or 1 doe. It's just a hot. And they keep going back and forth. The next thing I know, behind us, I hear something, and I'm 20 yards.
I know where this is going.
Gotta be good.
So I'm 20 yards from Interstate 70. It backs up to me. So I'm like, damn, something slid behind us between the fence from 70 into the woods. And I turn around, and there's a lady climbing over a fence into the woods. And I'm like, what the hell? My boy's 10 yards from me in another tree. He's in a lock on. I have my climber. And I'm sitting there watching, and he don't hear it, don't see it, nothing. And all of a sudden, she drops her drawers to take a big old shit. And I have a video camera, tree arm, and everything, and it don't even dawn on me to video this because it could have been.
Oh my god! Why was she there?
Right.
Hey, I'm not judging because I've had to pull over a few times too.
Oh man!
But
you can't stop the hop, huh?
Oh, absolutely. But I'm like, Dylan, look. And he turns around and looks, and he throws his hands up to me like, what the hell? And I'm like, I don't know. But she has dropped her drawers ass facing us and did not realize we're like 35, 40 yards from her in a tree. At this time, my 14-year-old, he was 14, maybe 13 at the time, and I'm like, stop looking. What are you doing?
You should have went. You should have went.
Yeah. I should have. But so video everything, that just dawned on me. Like everyone's like, why didn't you video it? I was like, hell, I was in shock, didn't think about it. So no one really believed me, but I did take a picture.
Well, I have to see that sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so video everything, because if you don't have it on tape, no one believes you.
That's right.
So as of now, what is your dream hunt? We've kind of asked everybody the last few podcasts we've done, what's your dream hunt?
Man, that's a tough one. I mean,
is it even whitetails? Is it even turkey?
No, I mean, I guess the only thing that my mind goes to is a moose in Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that I could think. Because
and I'm already thinking of your guide. Shocky.
He's too much for me. You got to think what you see when you go moose hunting. The waters, you're out there and you're dropped by a bush plane and you're bushing it. I mean, and then you're not only that, you can lay down and take a nap in their spread. So
yeah, absolutely.
It would be a little intimidating, though. I see videos all the time to where you see the.
Yeah, and within scary range,
like 10 feet away.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, it would have to be moose. That's only. I mean, just thinking of the grand picture, it would probably be moose.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yep, that'd be a good time.
Hey man, it's been a pleasure having you on with us. Me and Adam, we don't take this lightly when it comes to Blue River bow hunting. To possibly add you to our roster for this year is an understatement. We hopefully you join us on all that sort of thing.
Sure.
But tell everybody where they can find you on social media and follow you.
All right, so Instagram is Mossy Oak Boy 14. Facebook, Jeremy D. Bell. I have a picture of a turkey on my back. So I just live and die hunting, and I appreciate the opportunity, guys. And I'm sure we'll meet up and we'll see where it goes. I know
absolutely.
Y'all are doing a great thing. Let me tell you something. I told my wife, because she's an Eastern girl as well. I told her, I said, you have no idea how amazing it is to have someone from Henry County along the Blue River to create a brand and try to build something on it, because it's crazy to me. So I'd love to be a part of it any way I can.
And to have the same drive as you do.
Yeah,
for sure.
Come from that kind of area and to have the same drive that you do. Just talking to you, I've learned that you have that in you.
I love it. I don't want to do anybody wrong. I just I love hunting and fishing, and if I can spread it, I will. And so I think that's the importance of podcasts and things like this, getting out there and letting people know who you are and that what you believe in, because a lot of the older ways are going away. And so
absolutely.
I try to save that. So that's what's important to me about the bigger picture of what this is about for me.
For sure. Well, for everybody listening in the podcast world, give us a rate and review and that sort of thing. And if you're on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. We're closing in on 500, which is pretty cool for us, because not that long ago we were way off of that. So we're trying very hard to grow our brand, and we appreciate anybody that's listening every week to us and watching our videos. But you guys have a good rest of your week. Follow Jeremy on his adventures and everything he's got going, and we'll see you guys here again next week.
All righty, y'all have a good day.